Hello and welcome to the Smart Connections podcast and the Talk the Path podcast. My name is Anna Sanderlin. I am a warm-line facilitator for the University of Memphis Smart Center. The University of Memphis School of Social Work Smart Research, Training, and Treatment Center aims to provide evidence-based interventions for school-based mental health programming, increase access for school-based behavioral health programming in underserved areas, offer training on best practices in telebehavioral health, develop opportunities to research the use of technology in practice, and provide direct services to the state's most vulnerable populations. You can call the Smart Center at 901-678-1636. The University of Memphis Smart Center, in conjunction with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, would like to present the Pathways to Behavioral Health Careers Project. The goals of the Pathways Project are to provide education and information on the various career opportunities in the field of behavioral health through presentations, increase interest in students in the field of behavioral health, provide opportunities for guidance with information regarding college, university programming that result in degrees for professions in the field of behavioral health, connect students with students in behavioral health programs and professionals in the field for further research. This podcast will feature students and professionals in the field to give a clear picture of the daily duties of these roles and how they help support their communities.
Well, my name is Monica Tucker, and I currently live in Johnson City, Tennessee. I obtained my certified peer recovery specialist training from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Use in 2015. So that pretty much started like my career path. The certification, people can gain that through having lived experience with substance use or mental health disorders and being in a recovery journey. So being in long-term recovery, that kind of added to my skill set. I then obtained my associate's degree in sociology and social work from Northeast State Community College in Bluffville. And then I automatically pursued my bachelor's degree in social work at Keene University immediately after. I recently just graduated from Walden University with my master's in social work.
Congratulations.
I love it. And I'm currently pursuing my license through the state. And I utilize my education in Johnson City at Turning Point, which is a division of Frontier Health. It is a division of Frontier Health, and we provide mental health services and substance use services to individuals in need.
Okay.
I actually started in 2018 with Frontier Health as one of 11 recovery navigators in the state of Tennessee. We assess people in the ER setting who had overdosed and connected them to treatment and resources. And in that role, it was very beneficial for me to learn how to identify with the clients and support them in the right journey. A lot of their substance use and mental health disorders started when they were adolescents and children, So currently, I am a program manager now. I have been promoted throughout the years. So now I'm the program manager of the Men's Residential Rehabilitation Center and the Detox unit at Turning Point. So specifically, in my role, what I do is I help structure the policies and procedures. I manage the referrals of the programs, and I manage the staff of the programs. So basically, since graduating this year, I've kind of also taken on extra responsibilities, which is, it adds to my skills. So I do crisis assessments, adults and children who come into the walk-in center or who present to the emergency room who need services. And, it's helped strengthen me as a professional over the years, being able to progress through my education and be fully supported by the company that I work for. So it's very humbling, to say the least.
That's awesome to hear that, you're in a place where you're feeling very supported in your work. I know that is not always the case for everybody. And I think it's good to hear for people that, it does happen. There are employers out there who are, incredible, and they are there for their employees when they need them. So I like hearing that is part of your story right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you told us a little bit about your career path, but can you tell us your journey to your career path?
I actually, my my journey was a little rocky. I started using substances at the age of 11, and for years, I just spiraled out of control. I neglected my education in high school, but thankfully, I obtained my GED. I've been incarcerated. I temporarily lost custody of my children. So to be able to find recovery and be able to gain my children back and the relationships back and pursue my education, it's been really eye-opening, and I'm very grateful. Like, gratitude is the only word I say. But I actually went through the female program at Frontier Health called Willow Ridge, and that program is what inspired me to want to be the social worker that I am. It is what reminds me every day what it's about. It helps me identify with clients, and it helps me help them identify their personal goals that they want to work on so that they can obtain a career one day. So I completed the program in 2014. And when I got clean on March 14th, 2014. And ever since then, it's been, I got custody of my children back. I got a job at a medicated assisted treatment center. And that's where they helped me obtain certified peer recovery specialist certification. And then just working in the behavioral health field kind of helped me see that, hey, this is exactly where you need to be. This is your life. Like, this is what you need to do. Honestly, growing up, I wanted to be an EMT. Like, I always wanted just to be in the helping profession. And I didn't really necessarily know kind of what social work was then. But honestly, with my background, after I got clean and I still had legal issues, it was kind of like I doubted myself and my self-worth. Like, I didn't think that I was capable of being able to pursue a good career in my life because of my past. However, being able to feel supported by people in the recovery community and, my family and people in the behavioral health field, that is what helped me persevere through the hardships and see that I was worth it and I could do this.
I love that. I think it sort of came to me when you said it. I was just like, I think it's easy for people to fall into thinking, they are their past and they are, what they've done in the past. And I think it's true to an extent that you are who you are because of your past, but I don't think it's true that, you have to stay that person. You don't have to stay just because that was who you were once doesn't mean that is who you are forever. And I think that's incredibly powerful for people who may be struggling in any capacity, but who are struggling and, need to realize who you are right this second doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow and who you are a week from now or a year from now. So I think it's incredible to sort of how you realize, I can use what I have gone through and what I know from that experience to help other people who might be experiencing the same thing. I think that's incredibly powerful. So you said a little bit that you started out wanting to be an EMT. When did you realize that was not, when did you realize that wasn't for you? When did you shift?
Actually, it was when I went through treatment at Willow. When I went through treatment, I realized that, I was very broken. I was very hopeless at that time. And, I looked back on it and I reflected I wanted to be an EMT growing up, but once my addiction took control of me, it was in the very back of my mind. So I always thought that I couldn't do it. With my legal history and my substance use, I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to do that. And I grieved it because that was one of my real big personal goals, was to be an EMT. So I grieved that and I identified my strengths and what I could utilize to pursue a different career path. And then when I went through treatment at Willow, the support and the clinicians there role modeling the behavior in that setting kind of inspired me. And I was like, I think that I could do this. I could make this a profession. And once I started going to school and taking all the behavioral health classes, I kind of was able to grow as a person Like I grew internally myself, which kind of just like validated how I wanted to pursue social work. And I think that, it just as I've grown over the last 10 years, it was kind of like, a spiritual awakening every day. Like I'd wake up and, something would remind me like, yeah, you wasn't able to be an EMT, but now, look at you now. Like your addiction, somebody's addiction doesn't define them as a person. That's not who they are. And it's like, it's really great to wake up today and know that without a doubt that my addiction is long behind me. And today I'm in a recovery journey. And that recovery journey has helped me strengthen my skills as a social worker.
Yeah. I think something we've talked about a lot with, in my, work life with other, social workers, and even in doing some of these interviews, something we talk about a lot is imposter syndrome, and, feeling like what you're doing isn't making the impact that you think it is, or not realizing that you can make an impact because of whatever it is that's there. And I think the way it sounds like when you started, there's a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of, like, I can't do this because, I have had issues with substance abuse. So that's all there is to it. And I think it's very powerful for people to hear, that there is a way out, there is a way through, and feeling those feelings of not being, good enough, or not being healthy enough, or whatever it is, they affect everybody. And they so often, stop us from doing things that we want to do. But there is a light at the end of all that. There is a way through, and a way to make something of yourself past that. So I think that's powerful to hear.
Okay. So, I just want to say that your story is very powerful. And I just want to say that you're a very resilient person. And in social work, people need to be able to trust social workers and have a sense that, social workers can relate to a certain extent to their story. So I just want to ask, if you could go back in time, would you do anything different?
Honestly, no, I wouldn't do anything different. Every little bit of my journey kind of builds onto the next thing. So like, I've been asked that plenty of times by my sponsees if I would go back and, change the course of my life to where I was, I didn't suffer from addiction. And, I have to absolutely say, no, I wouldn't change nothing, because everything in my past has made me the social worker, the mom, the wife, the friend, heck, the employee today, like, of who I am. So my whole personality has grown over the years, and I don't think I'd change anything.
I think that's incredible. We have so many people that we've done these interviews with, and I don't think a single one has said that they would change anything about their path. And I mean, we're talking about, people who did everything by the book. They did, bachelor's, master's, straight into clinical licensure. And we've had people who struggled growing up. They were first generation college students to, veering away from a normal path that their peers were taking and deciding for themselves what to do. And I think it's incredible to hear that even with all of the hardship that you faced and struggling with your addiction and, all of this, and you said, losing custody of your children for a little while, they've all made you the person that you are today. They've all put you in the position to help other people who may be in that same position that you were however many years ago. And I think it's incredible. I think it's very powerful for people to hear, even you have to have the hard things. Like you have to have the hard things, and you have to have the not so fun things and all of that. And I know, like, from my own experience, people talk about, therapists needing their own therapists, and, being able to, and I think that helps us relate to clients in a way. Like I I know what it's like to be in your shoes because I have my own therapist. I started my own journey and did that. And I think it's very powerful probably for your clients as well to see I've dealt with my addiction and I am in recovery from my addiction and I've managed to turn my life around and find my purpose in life. And I think that's so powerful for people to see and to hear. And I think you're probably an incredible role model for some of those people who you are helping. And I love that.
Thank you.
So our last question for you is, what would you suggest to young people who are trying to identify whether or not a possible career in the behavioral health field is right for them?
One thing that I would have to suggest for them would be to be open-minded that your career path, especially in the behavioral health field, it could open different doors. Like, for example, as a social work, with my social work degree, I could work in the jails or the court system with clients. I could work with children. I could work with, in the outpatient setting. I could work with older adults in like hospice. One thing that benefited me was having supervision. So one suggestion I would absolutely make would be make sure that you do supervision with somebody like your mentor or somebody that, that you look up to that's in that professional field, because that's what helped me gain the skills of like maintaining my boundaries and make sure that I was practicing self-care and being mindful of my own mental health, because they're absolutely right. Therapists should have their own therapists. And I'm ashamed to I do today, like that's what's helped me get it all out. So I'm not just piling it all on top of each other every day because it's a very emotionally tasking profession is working sometimes in the behavioral health field. But as long as you're taking care of your self-care and maintaining your boundaries, you can do this job. And that's what provided me hope when I was struggling, because in times I was struggling with, is this the right fit for me? And in that moment, I would just reflect on the positives of it, and the progression that I made. So one suggestion would definitely be being mindful of their own progress towards their goals. Because I think sometimes when we're just in the academic stuff and we're doing school, it's kind of hard for young people to focus on that because they're so focused on, the stress of it. I'm watching that with my teenager right now.
Yeah. I was just wondering, did you ever have a time, we've talked, thinking you wanted to be an EMT, to that being pushed into the background, to, struggling with your addiction, and then getting your certification to being the peer support. I'm forgetting the last little bit of that. Special, yes. Did you ever have a time, or could you talk about a time maybe when you, what am I trying to say right now? I had the question. So sad. Did you have a time when, you had that sort of aha moment where you were, maybe still struggling with your addiction, or you were just in like at the beginning of your recovery where you were like, this is what I want to do? And did you have any, setbacks at all after you had started your journey that, sort of hindered that for a little while?
Actually, after I realized that I wasn't going to be an EMT, I still was in the depths of addiction. One defining moment that, I pursued my GED and I quit. I knew after dropping out of high school, I was like, well, my potential to do a good job and go to college and stuff is probably gone. So I'm just going to focus on my GED. And then my daughter actually passed away, and it kind of stuck me being able to get my GED. So after I took care of my mental health, I did pursue my GED, and then I honestly didn't pursue any education until I got clean. Because every time somebody mentioned it to me in my family, I was like, I know I can't do this right now. I'm not okay. So until I'm not stable, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that would be a social worker.
Yeah. I think that's important for a lot of people to realize, that path I talked about before where high school, straight to college, straight to master's, straight to work. I think it works for some people, for sure. It works for some people, but I know in my own life, I have needed the breaks, and I probably could have used a break between high school and college that I didn't give myself. Just because I had so much pressure on myself. There wasn't pressure from outside factors so much. I was pressuring myself to finish and to do what I thought was the correct path. And there are so many times when people ask me for my advice on stuff like that, I always tell them, take all the breaks that you think you need. Like, even if you feel the slightest bit of, burnout or the slightest bit of questioning what you want to do, college is expensive and school is expensive, and it's a lot of money to spend on something you're not sure you want to do. So I think it's important. I know you said you had to, get clean, get healthy before you started. And I think that's true in many ways. Getting healthy can mean a lot of things. And like for me, that's mentally healthy. I had to be mentally healthy before I could continue. So I think that's very important. Mm-hmm.
I was probably one in my class at Northeast State. When I was getting my associates, I was a non-traditional student. And there was a lot of older adults in there who were like granted the Reconnect grant. Like, thank God for that. Because had I not been awarded that, there's no way I would have been able to go through school. There's just no way. And and then I applied for scholarships. I utilized my strengths, and I did take breaks. Like, it took me a long time to get my associates. I'm not going to lie. It took me 4.5 years because I wanted to be sure that, I was receptive to what they were teaching me, and like I could digest it all because I knew I'd have to use it in my career. So I just took my time so that I could learn all I could learn.
Yeah,
I think it's important for people to hear that it's okay to take a break, because for me, I'm scared to take a break because I feel like I'm going to miss out on something. So hearing your story, it really enlightened me that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to go at your own path, and you'll still be successful. So
exactly.
Yeah. I think it's important. One of the biggest themes we've seen in these interviews is the importance of, of understanding that my path doesn't have to be the same as your path, and your path isn't even the same as someone else who, same job title, same credentials, same certificate, same everything. No two path is exactly the same. We've talked to several LCSWs. We've talked to, school counselors and marriage and family counselors, and nobody's path is exactly the same. And I think that's so important to hear that it's not cookie cutter. It can happen in many ways. I don't think there's any one right way, and there are so very, very few wrong ways, truly. So I think it's important. I can't, unless you have any other questions. We very much appreciate your time, and your story is fantastic. And I think it'll be very inspiring for a lot of people when they hear this. So we appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Thank you so much for tuning in to listen to our podcast, brought to you by the Smart Connections podcast from the Smart Center at the University of Memphis, as well as the Pathways to Behavioral Health Careers Project. If you or anyone you know needs any information from the Smart Center, please contact us at 901-678-1636 or email us at smartcenter@memphis.edu. You can also learn more about us at our website, memphis.edu/smartcenter.